Good morning. I'm Alex Levin here on Sun and Moon Yoga Studios YouTube channel. This is for a short meditation together. Today and often I've been thinking of, I think of back to basics. I really like, for my own practice, I like to lean back into simplicity, simple concepts, simple pointers. Sometimes they seem a little elusive, like they're too simple, but they're easy to remember, and I do come back to remembering them. Last week, the theme was practice, 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 and I'm still pondering. I think I'm going to ponder that one for a while. Of what my practice means to me, why I practice, and I think that's a really healthy thing to do to keep your practice fresh, to keep a sense of commitment and notice what you're dedicated to. Um, and sometimes our practices need tweaking. We need to do something a little bit different with them. There's so many ways to practice, of course. And this week in my classes, I'm forgetting now. I'm forgetting now what the theme was. So that was the theme. I practice. And so this week we'll look at going back to basics. And so the basics I really like to work with. And as I talk, you can start to settle into yourself. This transition and getting our seat just right is an important part of our meditation practice. And you can meditate lying down. You can meditate walking, but those have different flavors, different effects as well. The sitting up meditation um, necessitates an alertness that we are there's some attention, a kind of attention, a kind of tending to needed to the uprightness. And it's very sweet when you can attend to the body in such a way, and when those moments come where it feels so effortless, isn't it? And those may be many moments for you, or they may be rare. Um, but they are available, aren't they? Sometimes, and we can look to how that can be to avail ourselves of that. And much of it has to do with what support we allow ourselves to receive. So, as I've shared before, I need at these times a cushion under my right knee. I have a little bit of lift under my pelvis, and there are times when it's not even available to sit on the floor. So a chair is fine. A chair for sitting is fine as well. So to admit to ourselves that we need support, to allow ourselves to receive support, those may be areas to explore how we're allowing ourselves to receive support. And so again, I'll come back to the three-part mantra of ground, sound, breath as I guide us through this very simple meditation. But as is often in my practice and teaching, I have a little sub theme that came to me this morning, and that is the idea that we are not our thoughts. We are not what we think we are. I've heard these phrases from my teachers. And like me, you might enjoy having that kind of idea in the background of, I'm not what I think I am. I'm not my thoughts. And use that perhaps as a little koan to chew on if you find yourself needing something like that. That helped me this week in just a episode of feeling overwhelmed by events and personal and more global. and to open to realizing that I'm much, much, much more than the patterns of my thinking or the reactions I have and the history and stories that weave around that are all important, but I am so much more than that. Is opening to a support of another kind of perhaps you might call it your spiritual being or your more integrated and whole being or your higher self. So let's get the seat just right, and we'll dive into our 12 minutes. So these very basics of the seat, the place, this place that we are occupying, our own place on the planet here now. And this so much includes our body, our physical presence, in relation to the earth body, and this first step of ground is can be this portal to stillness. The second step of this very basic mantra we can use in sitting, it's labeled sound. Ground sound. And I had a flash as I was attending to the ground part of those of you who are present with me live and then always in our meditation in our lives, partly as support, but also as partly as all that surrounds us, sound that is both outside and inside, this connection, this relationship. And however, when you hear the pointer sound, perhaps as also in my space here, I have the gentle drumming of rain sound. And that very simple noticing attention to it, that gentle, effortless attention to something very simple outside, Sensing the receiving of it here. It's a very simple testimony to our connectedness, contiguity with all things. And finally, breath. And they don't have to be in this order. There's a poetry, a lyrical quality to the order of the words ground, sound, breath. But sometimes you might find that when you come to sitting, that breath is the first thing you need to attend to. And each of these simple words offer us, when we just open to them and open to how can this pointer serve me today? So many ways we can observe and investigate the breath and how we feel it in our body, the shapes, the locations, the durations. And despite all the science and knowledge we can have about the breath, there is a mysterious quality about it for me, being this essential element of life, being this nourishment of air particles that I share with every other human, animal in the world, and plant. And so this simple mantra might have landed us to a place of a sense of presence, a sense of a keen awareness of awareness, perhaps a noticing that that awareness is not limited to this body and it is not limited to our thoughts. And perhaps that tips us over into a realm of awe, the realm of awe that feels here like a little playfulness this morning, and around the realm of awe that where we, in this method, that we do not lose our rootedness, our foundation, our solid presence here, as well as our bigger presence. And so, to conclude our practice together, bringing hands, palms together in front of the heart and bowing, gesture from many traditions. And as you took that gesture, you can just sense the feel in yourself of what that gesture is. It's quite universal, many of the sensations of it, but for me, coming here now, a sense of humility, a sense of allowing myself to receive, a sense of relaying respect for you, for who is out there in front of me, around me, and a sense of recognizing the connection and all that. Amazing, these bodies and these hands and arms and hearts, and what this vehicle is. And thank you for joining me for getting still, because in getting still, I think we can find these basic foundations that serve us, support us, and Notice how we might need to do whatever we need to do, whether it's protect ourselves, nourish ourselves, help another, see something more clearly, share something joyful. So many ways that our life will unfold that's way beyond the thinking part of our being. And that part is very important, very, very important. We wouldn't have the language to communicate. We wouldn't have so many things, the architecture of this roof over my head, so many things. And yet to open up to the bigger, the mysteries, and to that we are more than just our thoughts. And so I invite you to call on ground sound breath as whenever you need, whenever you remember. Are you finding that you remember more quickly? I think so. I think we remember um, as we practice, these things become like more second nature to us and more available in the files of our memory. I wish you to be kind to yourself, kind to look for kindness and look for the support. See about I just heard a story by it was from last week's Krista Tippett's talk with Sharon Salzberg on being, and she was reflecting, and Sharon Salzberg was reflecting on being with Ram Dass, and after he'd had his stroke, sometime after, and how he had been a being who gave so much in his life, who was always giving. It was all about feeding. I forget what his 3 words. He's got a mantra, kind of a group of words that he sort of coined. But one of the things was making sure those who needed food got it. He served in that way. Service was one of his main ways of being. And for him to receive being taken care of was both very, very difficult. And as he was able to, it opened, it grew something in him and completed him more toward the end of his life. Thanks again for all you are here and for all you who visit afterward. And we can come back to this video and use it to support ourselves as we need in the future. Please do see what Sun and Moon has at sunandmoonstudio.com, and there are workshop offerings and Zoom classes. We've got a lot of ways that support is available. Ciao, ciao. See you next week.